So Becky's going to come and speak about minerals. What's the name of your talk? Minerals and the role it plays in pandas and pans.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm excited to be here, and hopefully I can give you some information that can help you. Today I'll be talking about minerals, the mineral balance, and heavy metals, and the role it can play in conditions like pandas and pans. And I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner. I'm also a dental hygienist. I've been a dental hygienist for over 23 years, and my journey with holistic functional nutrition began with my own health journey with lupus, and so that kind of took me down. I was looking for alternatives. I didn't want to take the harsh medications, and so I looked for food to help me to feel better, and it did, and so that kind of motivated me to go down the road of functional nutrition. I do have a bio in the little catalog that was provided, so you can read more about my story. I will share with you about my daughter's story a little bit today at the end. So just to remind you, this presentation is just for your educational purposes only. I am not a physician, and so if you do have any particular questions about your own health concerns, please reach out to your own physician. Okay, so what is nutritional therapy? It's a functional, foundational approach to wellness that focuses on giving what the body needs for it to heal itself. You do that through properly prepared food, nutrient-dense whole food diet, and a well-balanced lifestyle. And each person has a different bio-individuality depending on your circumstances. And so that means that I may eat a little bit different. I may need different nutrients than you might need them. And so it all depends on our bio-individuality. And so there's not one size fit diet or nutrition plan. And things that can go into that are like your genetics, your lifestyle, your things you enjoy, your preferences, your particular needs, nutrient deficiencies and needs. And as a functional nutritionist, what I like to do is focus on these foundations. And those foundations are obviously the whole food diet. We want to optimize your digestion, blood sugar regulation, and essential fatty acids, hydration, and what we're talking about today is mineral status. And I'll talk about a few of those, touch on them, and how they interact with the minerals and our mineral uptake. So mineral status. So minerals play several roles in the body. For example, they act as cofactors for enzyme reactions. They maintain your pH in your body, facilitate transfer of nutrients across cell membranes. They maintain our proper nerve conduction for contraction and relaxation of your muscles. They regulate tissue growth, provide structural and functional support for our body. Oh, I went too far. They also contribute to brain health, enhance our learning and our memory, aid in neurological function, influence our mood, support immune function, and their anti-inflammatory properties. They serve as antioxidants. They're important for our cell function, and they help with cell growth and healing, which are if you can recognize, these are all issues that we can have if we have an autoimmune issue, and things that are important for us if we present with these symptoms. Okay, so I can't focus on all the minerals and the deficiencies that can present in the symptoms, but I did want to focus on a couple of different ones. And if you have a zinc need, if you have a deficiency in zinc, some of the symptoms that can present can be frequent infections, picky eating, low appetite, poor growth, eczema and slow skin healing, sensory issues, attention and focus issues, mood and behavior concerns, allergies and histamine symptoms, food sensitivities, leaky gut, and chronic diarrhea. Did these symptoms sound familiar to anyone? And if you have a magnesium need, it could be loss of appetite, fatigue, nausea, muscle spasms and cramps, trouble sleeping, irritability, anxiety, nervousness, headaches, low energy, and weakness. So in my practice, at first I look for therapeutic foods. Food is the base, right? It's very important. We can't live without it. And so that's where I start, because a lot of people don't like to take supplements. They can't take supplements for different reasons. So we want to try to get as much nutrition as we can through our food. And some of the ways you can get minerals are through like organic leafy greens and organic fruits and vegetables. And I say organic because at this day and age, our food does not have, conventionally grown, has less mineral content than it did, let's say, 50 years ago to 100 years ago. So if the budget allows, organic is always, a better choice. Quality animal products like grass-fed beef, pasture-raised chicken and pork, wild-caught seafood, these types of animal products have more nutritional value and they offer more mineral content. Nuts and seeds, if you can tolerate grains, that would be soaked, sprouted grains and legumes. Herbs and spices are rich in minerals. Natural salt, sea salt, Celtic salt, pink Himalayan salt. Coconut water is one of the richest foods that has minerals in it. Bone broth. And there's some lovely nutritional teas that I like. Nettle, hibiscus, red clover. Those are all, mineral-rich teas. So how can we go about optimizing our mineral, balance, the content in our body? And there's a few things that I want to talk about today. And it may seem a little bit out of order how I'm going to talk about it, but usually we talk about stress at the end. We get all our information and, oh, by the way, you should manage your stress. I really want to focus on stress first, and it helps the flow of the talk. And stress plays such a horrible, powerful role in our life and in our body. And so these are just a few things that it will do. It can deplete your magnesium, zinc, and iron. It can compromise your digestion and absorption of your nutrients, assimilation of your nutrients. It causes imbalance in these key mineral ratios. And that's specifically with the hair tissue mineral analysis that I will be talking about in just a little bit. So how do we manage stress? There's different ways. I don't know if you've ever heard of vagal tone exercises. The vagus nerves is what comes out of the brain and innervates into the internal organs, and it's what controls our stress response. And if we are in a high sympathetic state for a long period of time, that can get out of balance our autonomic nervous system. And so then we need some help to help regulate our vagus nerve. And some of these things, prayer, meditation, deep breathing exercises, like gentle movement like yoga, tapping, which is, there's different acupuncture points on your body. And you can do traditional Chinese acupuncture, but you also can just assess those in those areas by just tapping on those particular points. Massage as well, some somatic body work, relaxation, connection with your tribe, with your family, and those relationships are important, and anything that really finds you joy. These are cheap. You don't have to pay for these things, but they are very important for your well-being, your emotional well-being, and also for your physical well-being. So the next thing that we can do to help optimize our mineral balance is to optimize digestion. Now, why would you focus on your digestion? It's because it's not just what we eat, it's what we absorb and assimilate. We could be eating the most cleanest, pristine, most organic diet, but if we are not assimilating it, we're not getting the most benefit out of it. So digestion, traditionally we think it starts in the mouth. Well, that's where, the physical, mechanical process starts, but it actually starts in our brain, because when we think about food, that cascade is already starting. Our saliva glands start going, the amylase, and so the process of digestion starts, and then we start chewing. But and then the brain sends signals to the rest of our body to be able to digest. And so we want to be in a rested state when we're eating. We do not want to be stressed. We do not want to be rushed. So we want to take our time, and we call mindful eating. And so then digestion is a north-south process, starts in the brain, then the mouth, the stomach, and then the intestines. And so how can we optimize our digestion? Manage that stress that I was talking about through eating mindfully and slowly. Chew your food thoroughly. Some people say chew it up to 100 times. That's a little extreme. I've never made it that far, but start with, if you're chewing 5 times, try to go to 10, and then 20 and 30. Just keep chewing your food until it's pretty gone by the time you swallow. Because your teeth, or your mouth has the teeth, your stomach does not. If your stomach is working optimally, has the right pH, right HCl, right enzymes, it will do its job, but we have to help it by chewing mindfully. And then we also can optimize our digestion through therapeutic foods and supplementation. So another area that's important for mineral balance is hydration. So water quantity, my rule of thumb is basically half of your body weight in ounces of water a day. That's a good place to start. Things that can, to play a role in that is how active you are, how much exercise you're doing, how much coffee you're drinking. Those diuretics can, release the fluids from your body, and so you need to compensate for that. But that would be my good rule of thumb. It says here, listen to your body, let your thirst guide your intake. But in reality, that's a good place to start. But sometimes if you're so dehydrated, you won't be thirsty. And so you have to, just work on that goal. Okay, I want to get half of my body weight in, say I weigh 150 pounds. I want to drink, my goal is about 75 ounces of water a day. So sometimes it's just a conscious decision. Okay, so with your water, you want to think of what type of water you're drinking. You want it to be filtered, clean from chemicals, fluoride and chlorine. These contaminants can wreak havoc on your health, your thyroid especially. Tap water is dirty water, so I would not recommend drinking tap water. I would recommend some kind of filtration. I like reverse osmosis water. It does have problems if you're not maintaining the filters well. Some people even go as far as distilled water, which it takes everything out, so you definitely have to add other minerals, back into it, electrolytes. But just make sure you're doing clean water. And hydration, just water itself you don't get the biggest impact out of it. So if you use, a pinch of sea salt, and some trace mineral drops, even maple syrup, a little bit of maple syrup will help because it's balanced. It has all the electrolytes you need, the minerals in it. So if you use just a little bit of, you could do 1/4 teaspoon up to, depending how big your glass is, a teaspoon of maple syrup. And the science shows that that little bit of sweetness helps the absorption and the uptake of the minerals as well. I did, I don't know if all of you can see this or not, but I did include a little simple electrolyte lemonade. The idea of this is to drink it until it tastes good. So you drink it until it doesn't taste as good anymore, and then you can switch to water. And that's your sign of knowing that you are well hydrated. And this is, a pint jar. You can put in 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, 4 teaspoons of maple syrup or coconut nectar. It's a little bit lower on the glycemic index. And then you put it in a jar and fill it with clean water. And so you can sip on that during the day. It also is a good digestive tonic, so it will help your digestion. So the next part of this, the scenario is whole food diet. A properly prepared, nutrient-dense whole food diet. And properly prepared means, I mentioned like those sprouted, soaked grains. If you prepare things, like if you're going to have, if you can eat like beans, you want to eat beans, it's best to soak them for at least 12 hours because what that does is releases them, it it helps digestion by getting rid of the phthalates and the lactates that are on the lectins that are on the surface of the bean, because those are protective, but it also can be disturbing for digestion. So properly prepared. Quality. What is the source? Where are you getting it from? What possible contaminants? Food should reduce toxin burden, not add to it. And the way you prepare it. Raw. Certain foods have more nutrients raw. Actually, raw eggs are more nutritious than cooked eggs. But I don't eat raw eggs. Soaking and sprouting, fermenting is a great way to add, probiotics to your gut, but also the fermentation produces K2, which is, is important fat-soluble vitamin in our body. And also, what type of heating oils are you using? Things like ghee and coconut oil and avocado oil, tallow, duck fat, all these types of good source of oils are giving you nutrition versus like the seed oils, canola oil, corn oil, which causes inflammation in the body. So this is all part of the equation for mineral balance. So a whole food, the rule of thumb is it's how God made it and how it's found in nature. Whole food, more nutrients, fewer toxins. There's one I missed here. Nutrient density. What does nutrient density mean? Micronutrients like our vitamins, our minerals, our phytonutrients. Those colorful plants are what's going to give us our minerals. And then the macros like the fats, the proteins, and the carbs. So hair tissue mineral analysis is part of my practice, is to use hair tissue mineral analysis. And what it actually is we take a sample of your hair at the base, the new growth, because that gives us the most, the last 3 months of your hair growth, and gives us the most accurate information. But how does hair tissue mineral analysis play into our mineral balance in our toxic load? Well, it's a soft tissue biopsy. It's a representation of your mineral status and toxic metal presence. It's a window, really, into our cellular health, our metabolism, our vitality. It can tell the things about your thyroid, your hormone balance, your blood sugar regulation, adrenal health, and immune function. So how does this relate to PANS and PANDAS? Through the HTMA, we can see mineral deficiencies. We can see the presence of toxic metals. Copper imbalance and toxicity is often present in PANS and PANDAS. And these toxic metals and copper contribute to neuropsychiatric symptoms like anxiety, OCD, tics, and depression. And toxic metals and copper can trigger these symptoms of PANS and PANDAS. Sometimes it's a lot of burden, toxic burden. It's not just one thing that can contribute. It's accumulation of different toxins in the body, and heavy metals definitely play a role in that. And you think about heavy metals. We're concerned about them. A lot of times we want to do a heavy detox. We want to get them out of there as quick as we can. But most often that can if your body's not ready for it, it can cause more issues than be helpful to you. So with my clients, I always focus on the foundations first. You have to get them balanced foundationally, and you also want to slowly do detox. The body will do it naturally. Sometimes you need extra help, but you always start with the basics first. And by balancing your minerals, if you get your mineral status right and an optimal level, then your body will be able to have enough energy, cellular energy, to let go of that toxic burden that it's been holding on to. So things that naturally, gently detox would be, support the foundations to detox. Pathways are open, like make sure you're pooping every day, make sure you're hydrated, make sure that you're giving your liver some good love with those new therapeutic foods like lemons and beets, and just make sure that you're getting good fats in. They'll help to help your liver. Herbs, dandelion root, milk thistle those are some excellent teas that can help gently detox you. And fiber is a good binder. It's a good place to start A lot of, zeolite is out there, and some other bentonite clay. Those are types of binders that you want to use temporarily. You don't want to use them on a daily basis because they can cause mineral imbalances themselves. But fiber is a good place to start. We all need fiber, and it will help bind to some of these things that your body is getting rid of. And I don't recommend supplements for just anybody. I have to know you and what your case is. But like fulvic acid is a good dental binder that would not cause issues, and just fiber from your vegetables, fruits and vegetables. I did want to show this here, if you can see it. This particular this HTMA has very high uranium, and it has arsenic, and it has some aluminum in it. Uranium is common in our area in Oklahoma because of our rocky soils. Almost every client that I've had tested in Oklahoma has high uranium. The issue with uranium is that it can cause mineral imbalance. It can kind of shift your other, your calcium, magnesium, your sodium, potassium, the zinc. It can kind of make a shift in that, and also over a long time, it can cause issues with your kidneys. So this part, of the talk, I want to transition a little bit. We talked about some nutrient deficiencies that can pop up and kind of show some of those symptoms that's common in pans and pandas. That heavy metal and copper is very much an issue. It's very common with a pans and pandas a kid to have a copper imbalance, a copper toxicity. But there's another thing that I wanted to take the opportunity to share with you, since I'm here and I have a captive audience, to talk about, I don't know if you've ever heard of this condition. It's called ARFID, Avoidance Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because, I'll get to that in a minute. Common symptoms of ARFID, lack of interest in food, avoiding food due to texture or consistency, being a picky eater, refusing to try new foods, requiring food to be prepared in a specific certain way, feeling afraid to eat due to a fear of possible allergic reactions, choking, vomiting, or pain. So the connection between ARFID and PANS and PANDAS is that 50% of PANS patients have some degree of restrictive eating. And from the Aspire.care, 17% will have life-threatening issues as a result. There's a couple different studies, the Stanford study and Tofexis study. They looked at this and the prevalence of ARFID in PANS and PANDAS patients. 47% had a food restriction, 23% had significant impairment related to food restriction and met the criteria of ARFID. And there's different types of ARFID. There can be avoidance, and there can be restrictive, and sometimes you can have a combination of the two. And my recommendation, if any of this rings true for you, all of us have some type of disordered eating habit. It's when it becomes, a problem with your health that it can be detrimental. And with, with PANS and PANDAS patients, it's a team. You need different practitioners to help you along the way. And definitely, if there is any signs of a disordered type of eating involved, I would recommend you seeking care from those specialized in disordered eating, along with your PANS and PANDAS type of practitioners. It takes a team to treat them. Most often, cognitive behavioral therapy is needed, along with exposure therapy, to help them be able to introduce new foods. Severe cases may need to be hospitalized. And as a parent, I'm a parent, and as a practitioner, I think it's important to have a positive mindset about an approach to nutrition. And kind of avoid rigidity with your diet as much as you can. You want to nourish and you want to support, obviously, but to have a healthy mindset and be concerned about our messaging around our food in our families. More focus on, some of us have sensitivities, and it's necessary. But really, it's about our message that we're portraying to our kids, and also our focus and our mindset. Like, focus on the foods, the abundance of foods that we can eat, and not on the things that we can't. If you have to, for food sensitivity purposes, you take out a certain food, always replace it with something else, not just restrict. Trade ups and swaps versus, restriction. And try to avoid moralizing food as bad and good. To have the mindset of, yes, certain foods give you more health, they're more nutrient dense, but not try to do that good and bad kind of philosophy. And sometimes with nutrition is not always the starting point for this type of patient, a PANS and PANDAS patient, because they do have, these picky eating, or they're only eating certain things. And sometimes we need to go down and to investigate toxins. We need to investigate the presence of, strep antibodies and different other viral issues that can be causing them problems, and support them along with the way. Don't try to, radically change their diet, because nutrition is important and organic is important, but you just got to start where you are and don't stress about it so much. So why am I talking about ARFID? Because I wanted to share a little bit about my daughter's story. Now, I asked her before I came, can I talk about your story? And she said yes, but you can't say my name. I'm like, okay. And then, can I show your picture? No. I was like, okay, well, you just have to imagine what she looks like. My daughter's now 17. Her journey started when she was 12. My daughter's on her onset of pain and food restrictions started with the onset of the severe flu. She had the flu. She started losing weight. She couldn't get over it. She kept fatigue. And every time she would eat, she'd have constipation, or pain, abdominal pain, stomach pain, and severe constipation. Severe digestive symptoms, which led to a fear of eating, a fear of food. Her toxic load included parasites, Lyme, mold, heavy metals. She had OCD, anxiety, food restriction, separation anxiety. She has not been officially diagnosed with PANS, but in my intuition says that she does at least have a spectrum of it, neuroinflammation. But she was hospitalized twice. Once at OU Children's, would not recommend it. She went to, unfortunately there are no holistically, functionally minded, fully eating disorder treatment clinics. We had to do the best we can. We found one in Texas that was it included holistic things like mindfulness and yoga and deep breathing, which is where it made a difference in her life, and she's alive because of it today, I think. But just to say that sometimes, well, honestly, as a parent, I was afraid to take her to OU Children's because I knew what they would do, what kind of feeding they would do, what types of food they would use. Hindsight, I probably waited too long. So that's why I'm sharing the information about our messaging to our kids, and just about the good and the bad. I've learned from my own mistakes. But with ARFID kids, a lot of times they need hospitalization. At least they need CBT, which is the cognitive behavioral therapy, and they need treatment. We can't do it on our own at home. And with my daughter, her neuropsychiatric symptoms did improve with weight restoration. So nutrition is a part of it, for sure. With anxiety, nutrient mineral deficiencies play into these symptoms that our kids present with. So if you're interested in how do I, balance my foundations, how can I optimize my health? You have to figure out what your individual needs are, and that's me as a practitioner. That's what I do, is to help clients do that, and to work on the foundations and to balance them. Also through HTMA, hair tissue mineral analysis, where we can assess, balance your minerals, support your foundations, assess toxic metal load. and toxic a detox for toxic metal load. And I did fail to tell you that that one HTMA that I showed you that was the high in uranium was my daughter's. She had heavy metal presence, high uranium, and high copper. So it all, kind of fits with what we find with these types of patients. And so my practice is called Hope Found Wellness. And you can find me at Hope Found Wellness, hopefoundwellness.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. If you have any interest, please find me afterwards. Anyone who's interested in doing HTMA to see how things present, you can talk to me. My card's in the little swag bags. And for the HTMA, if you're interested, I am offering 15% off for that, just as a gift for being here with me. See, I'm not sure how I'm doing on time. So anyone have any questions, any clarification that they wanted? No? Okay. Well, thank you for your attention.